It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you look on that gigantic, sharp, interactive board, you're going to see a new face. I've never had Melissa Ontario on before, but she's here today. And Melissa, I think I just said your name wrong, but when you look at how it's spelt, it makes no sense to me. So
I know.
go ahead and tell me how to say it the right way.
Theriault, it's French Canadian. I'm
Theriault.
not French Canadian, my other half is, but
Well,
and how do you say yours?
yeah, I was
I
going to
always
say
refer
who.
to you as Ray
Yeah,
S.
who's the guy who complained about a last name? Stashesco. Very simple to say.
Oh,
It
very
looks
simple.
exactly like it's spelled.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah. Melissa's with Rick Lambert. We all know Rick Lambert. He's been on the show many times, but Melissa's been working with Rick for over 20 years. And they have a really unique program going on. And they've been doing this for a while, but they've really refined it. And it's around their webinars. And I want to share some thoughts with you all from Melissa's point of view and how their success is. But I will tell you, it's going to be nice to have you on as opposed to Rick because we're not going to have to hear about where the hell that hockey puck went or who should follow it. So don't say any hockey jokes.
But we can talk hockey if you
Yeah,
like. I
there you
am
go. Well,
Canadian
you're
after all.
Canadian. So Melissa, in all seriousness, you've been doing these webinars now with Rick for a while, and it probably ramped up during the pandemic. Obviously, that's when everybody was
Absolutely.
kind of forced to go do it. You guys been doing them for a lot longer than that. But tell us
Mhm.
some success on that because I'm sitting here thinking, okay, that was a pandemic thing.
Yeah.
But are people really doing that today? And obviously they are, and you guys are having some success. So just share a little bit about, what the journey, I guess, that a dealer is going through right now to try to put a webinar on, and why are they not doing them? And more importantly,
Mhm.
why should they be doing them?
Yeah, no, great question. And you're right, it did really ramp up during the pandemic, but has kept going. And, why is it kept going? Because it's great. I mean, people don't have to go out of their house or their office. It's focused content.
Mm-hmm.
You can go after, those relationships you have, those clients that you have, those prospects, and really scope your message to that particular audience. So to your question, why aren't people doing them? Some people doing them, or they're naysayers, if you will. Maybe it's because they think about the effort involved,
Mm-hmm.
right? Oh, who's going to set up registration? Who's going to manage the content? I don't really know how to tell our story in a slide deck format, or how are we going to promote it, or are we going to get anybody on there? And is it just a once and done? Is it worth the investment, et cetera, et cetera? We've seen huge success with our clients, huge. And you and I were talking before we started this today, and a webinar I just did in
Mm-hmm.
February with one of our clients, huge success. We had 200 people registered, 150 or so showed up.
Mm-hmm.
And you might think, well, where'd the other 50 go? Well, it's a great opportunity to reach out to those people. We have their email, we have their name.
Sure.
They wanted to register. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, here's the link to the webinar.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's evergreen. We put it on the client's website. We use snippets of it for social. And I'm kind of jumping around here,
Yeah.
but I'm saying it's worth it. And they got 7 booked leads from booked appointments from
Okay.
that webinar, 7 people who wanted to book an appointment, just weren't sure when, and over 50 people who wanted more information. So it just gives them an opportunity to go back
Hmm.
and reach out to those
How
people.
many of the people that register? Because I'm really
Yeah.
good about this. I'll register, but then I'll forget to go to it, or I got busy, and I'll go back and listen
Yeah.
to it. How many people go back and listen to the webinars after they're already over?
Tons. Tons. And so that's a really good point. And that's why I always try to encourage our clients
Mm-hmm.
when the day of the webinar comes and, 50, 60 people who register don't show up. It's like, no, that's okay. Because we're going to send them the link,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're going to send it back to them and say, hey, we missed you on Thursday, but here's the link. And oh, by the way, the sales reps now have a link and a YouTube link and/or a link to their website to say, hey, go check it out. You missed it. But here it is. You can watch it at your own pace
Do,
and when you want.
do people watch them longer when they come into it after it's over, or during it?
It's about the same. We don't have a drop off. Honestly, it's rare that someone drops off a
Mm-hmm.
webinar. I mean, if they've taken the time to register and actually log in day of, that we find they watch it right to the end. And we find they watch it right to the end when they're able to watch it at their own leisure. And some people say, for instance, Ray, a sales manager or a sales leader or an owner,
Mm-hmm.
president, whatever, watches it day of. He'll often come back, or she'll often come back and request the link from the client and watch it with their sales team.
That's
right?
pretty
Or
cool.
share it and say,
Sure.
hey guys, and if we're talking about, the top 5 profit opportunities for 2024, or whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
we'll chunk out those 5 things into individuals because maybe one guy's only interested in this and one lady's
Sure.
only interested in that, you
Interesting.
know?
So who puts
So
all
they're
the?
evergreen.
So you help them put the content together because that would be the other
Yes.
issue. They're like, oh, yeah, I have a webinar. What the hell am I going to talk about? Or maybe they're not good on camera, or whatever it is. So do you
Yep.
provide the talent to actually do the webinar?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We are turnkey pretty much.
Okay.
100%. And the client can be involved as much as they want,
Mm-hmm.
but we find, they want to focus on their core competency and kind of throw it in our lap and that's awesome. And we'll meet with their team if there's 5 people on. We often do a panelist setup, Ray. So if there's 5 different people doing 5 different, segments, I'll interview them. I'll ask them questions, and we make it easy for them
Sure.
because a lot of people aren't comfortable on camera, but we
Mm-hmm.
make them feel comfortable. And we just make it like you and I right now, a conversation.
That's pretty
And
interesting.
uh, and that's well received, I think, from the audience too, right? It's not
Mm-hmm.
just you're slamming them with a slide deck. We have visuals, we have slides, and you know what? We make it fun. We add some gamification, we ask poll questions to get audience engagement. We allow the audience to chat, in the chat or the Q&A portion of it. And we add pricing, right? Who doesn't like a gift card?
Mm-hmm. So
you know,
do you have dealers that use your webinar platform to have internal meetings as well as meetings or sharing information to customers or prospects, but do they also use you to do like their internal meetings or their quarterly meetings and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely they do. So great question. During the pandemic, that was huge for us, right? But yes, they do because a lot of people don't want to invest in a platform
Mm-hmm.
and they're not the best at hosting meetings. So we'll facilitate it for them 100%. Run their PowerPoints, run their Excel sheets, whatever they're
Mm-hmm.
using, video, right?
Sure.
We really have a lot of clients up and using video, and you know all about that. You're amazing at that.
Mm-hmm.
That's your thing, right? Is communicate via video. So we'll create even videos for internal messaging for our clients, from a president right through the organization.
Do you
Yeah.
help? Would you help a particular salesperson that wanted to create some kind of their own webinar series that they could share
Yes.
with their own prospects? And is that going on in the market? Because we know a lot of the dealers are trying to get them to use video, start doing
Mhm.
some video messaging. Is it getting down to the point where an individual sales rep could actually do a little webinar series for their prospects? And are you doing any of that?
Yes, yes, and yes.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
So
Okay.
they love that. And one of the things Rick does really well is, he goes around at a lot of our training events and we're teaching people how to do video for LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
right? How to use video, where it's because a lot of people again are uncomfortable with it. And so we get them comfortable with it and teach them how to do, one-to-one videos in LinkedIn or just YouTube videos or Instagram reels or stories. So absolutely, that is absolutely our game.
That's pretty cool. What's the growth rate that you're having inside? Because I know you guys do all kinds of vertical markets. Like they're not
Mhm.
just in the print channel. Okay, you do stuff for
Yeah.
other industries. How much of the business now is dedicated to the print industry at both companies?
Oh, gosh, that's a loaded question. I mean, for us personally, how
Yeah.
much do we do in the? Oh, a ton, a
Okay.
ton. I mean, we that
So you're still heavily focused in the space, but you have,
very focused in
but
the space, but
you
we're all over the place.
yeah,
We're
it
not
brings you
just
insight.
when.
Yeah, it brings insight from these other industries. It probably helps you in our space, is what I'm thinking.
Absolutely. And we take what we learn from other industries and bring
Mm-hmm.
it to the print space and take the print space stuff and bring it over. But yeah, we're in all the areas, but Rick and I, we worked in the industry for years. Rick and I used to work together years and years ago. When I was a baby.
Yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah, exactly. So yes. So to answer your question, we work in all industries, but that is one of our big industries that we're heavily involved in.
Well, who would have thought? Monetizing webinars,
Mm.
success with webinars. Have you had any dealers that are into these, they're trying to get into more broader deliverables. So they're going into prospects and they're offering all kinds of different services. Has any of the print dealers or IT services companies came to you and said, we want you to help our customer put on a webinar?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We have one coming up actually.
That's pretty cool.
So that's a great question. 100%. And I mean, it gives them another
Mm-hmm.
offering,
Sure.
right, in their arsenal to say, hey, we've partnered with a company that does our webinars. And they've participated in them, and then now we're doing it for them. So it has spelled out big time in that way.
Managed webinars as a service. Managed
Oh,
webinar services.
mass.
Managed
Exactly.
webinar service. Melissa, is there anything you want to add before we end this?
I think one thing I'd like to add is just, a quick stat, if I may.
Sure.
Okay. 'Cause I know we were
As
chatting
long
about
as
it
you back
before.
that stat up, because numbers without some kind of reality behind them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I did my homework.
All right.
According to a study by Inside Sales,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and this is a 2023 number, obviously,
Okay.
so I would say it's probably even growing. That businesses that use webinars as their marketing, like as part of their marketing strategy. I'm not saying it's the only thing.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's an
Mm-hmm.
entire process there. Can see up to 66% increase in lead conversion rates,
That's pretty
and
good.
that's big.
Yeah.
That's really big.
That's a big number.
So. It is. So if you haven't tried one, I'd encourage, your audience to think about it, and
Sure.
we'd love to help you out. There's lots of good reasons I could sit and tell you for doing it, but I appreciate your time today, Ray, and just chatting about it.
Well, we got to keep our industry focused on how they can
Yes,
make money. What should they really
that's
be diversifying in? How should they be out there marketing? Because
yeah.
everybody that watches me knows this: status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and we'll see y'all tomorrow.